So hello everyone, it is your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace, and one of y'all asked me to show you my most used eyeshadow palette. So I brought all of them here with me because there's actually quite a few, and I'm doing like most used over like the year, like this year 2021. So these are my most used palettes of 2021. Now some of them actually are older palettes, but you know, if I really love a color story of a palette, I'm gonna use regardless. I don't care. So I got them lined up in affordable. Then I got my indie ones. Then I got my YouTuber and makeup artist brands. Then I got my luxury. And I'm going in with my YouTube collabs. Because actually the YouTuber collabs are the ones I use the most. Why almost came to focus? Focus. Thank you. So we're going to start with the affordable ones. Now I don't have that many affordable ones. But I mean, like, consider how much like expensive makeup I have. I feel like you shouldn't be surprised. But I have 3 ColourPop palettes, so at least I've been needing to use some of my ColourPop palettes this year. Because remember, I gave y'all a video one year. It was like palettes I buy but never use, and ColourPop was like the main culprit in there. But I have used the Lush Life a few times this year, believe it or not. So this is what she looks like on the inside, and I feel like you should know why. Like, look at this color story. It's perfect for summer, and I use it at least 2 or 3 times. Now mind you, a lot of these palettes have just been used like 2 or 3 times, but you have to think how extensive my makeup collection is. So that's why they've only been used 2 or 3 times, but I feel like that's good considering how many palettes I have, which I have never counted, so I don't know, but I know I have like close to 60 some ColourPop palettes. So the fact that I reached for any of these more than once, I feel like it's a bravo for me. Okay, pat myself on the back there. How you doing? The next one I have is the Barbie X ColourPop MALIBU Barbie collection. So this is what it looks like on the inside there. I really like this one. It reminds me of another palette that I used a lot this year as well. This is the affordable version of it. I feel like you should know which one it is, but I did a battle of love with it. But yeah, I really like this palette. I think I've used it about 2 or 3 times as well this year, which is a really big deal because, like we just discussed, I have a whole bunch of eyeshadow palettes. So there you go. The last one I have from ColourPop, again, shouldn't be a surprise, is Limoncello. So this is a good, I gotta rush out the house and go do something palette for me. That's why I use it. Again, I told y'all I got fooled by the pop of green and blue. Because if you turn that away, this is a really neutral and super boring palette. But I use the pops of green the majority of the time. And like this yellow and these yellows here. So I didn't really use that many of the neutral shades. When I did use it, I would usually just put this blue all over the lid. And then put like this green shade or this yellow shade in the inner corner. And maybe like dust one of these shades over the top of the blue to give it the airbrush effect. But it's a really nice palette. The quality of this is really nice. The quality of all 3 of these palettes is really nice, and that's probably why I reach for them more than I normally do my ColourPop palettes. Because it's not that ColourPop is bad, it's just when you have all the stuff that's sitting around me, it's kind of hard to just be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go use the ColourPop. Like, no, I'm gonna use all this other stuff. Oh, the last affordable palette I have, my bag, is the Beauty Bay Book of Magic palette. I'm sorry they don't make this anymore, but you can get the Age of Opulence that's pretty similar to this. It's not exact. It's similar enough though to where you won't be missing out if you get that because you didn't get this. So this is what it looks like on the inside. And y'all know why I've got this. The blues, the purples. Like, the only thing missing out here is greens. And I just saw that playing in makeup with Yolanda. It's coming out with a blue. It looks like a blue, green, and purple. And I think I saw a little bit of pink in the palette. I don't remember. I saw it a while ago on Instagram. So it's coming next year though, I believe. And I'm excited. But this is a palette I use a lot from Beauty Bay. This is like one of my favorite Beauty Bay palettes to use. I have one more that you'll see later on, but it's part of the YouTuber collab section. So I feel like you should know whose YouTube collab it is. Next we're going to get into my indie brand palettes. So are we really surprised that Adept is in here? I feel like you should have known Adept was going to be here. Because I told you, whenever I'm reaching for a shimmery shade, I'm reaching for these 2 palettes. So if I don't feel like looking through my individual singles with dual chromes and multi-chromes and all that, I'm reaching for this Plain Jane. So I have right here. And then I bought the anniversary shades for myself. And just gave the actual original the anniversary Plain Jane palette away. And then I have Ninhydrin. Ninhydrin is like my all-time favorite Adept palette. They have like 4 or 5, but they're supposed to be in a Ninhydrin 2.0 coming out, which I'm super excited about. I cannot wait till she comes out with that palette. Oh my god. But this is easily my favorite all shimmer palette from Adept. This Ninhydrin. So these are 2 palettes I've been reaching for all year long when it comes to shimmers. When I feel like there's not enough sparkle or extraness to the eye look, I'm looking to those 2 palettes to help me out. Next, I have these Glam Light palettes. Now, although they haven't been out that long, I have used these quite a bit. Like, I've used this purple one at least 3 times already. But I told you I like purple palettes with unique shades of purple in them, and this is definitely like the most unique purple in my collection. This one right here, I think it's so cool. This is a really nice, deep, unique purple as well. A lot of the shimmers aren't exactly unique purples, but I still like them all the same. But these two right here are what makes this palette special to me. These two mattes here on the end, and that's why I love using, because they give you such a unique color to looks that you weren't necessarily looking for, like that with the anhydrous shimmers are just chef's kiss. Next, Dirty Martini. This to me is just like an extended version of Smoke Sessions. I think that's why I like it so much, because you see it has some of the grungiest Smoke Session shades in it, but still has like some brighter greens from like 420, and then it has like the blues that I like from what is it, Smoke Sessions. So it's like, to me, this is Smoke Sessions and 420 combined to give you the best of both worlds, and I actually really like this palette. So I think I've used this about 2 or 3 times too, and super excited about it. Next, we're gonna get into this Don't Be Jelly palette from Unearthly Cosmetics. This is another shimmer palette I reach for when I don't necessarily know what shimmers I want to use. I'll use the adept one, so I'll use this one. I've used this one about 2 or 3 times this year alongside my plain Jane and my anhydrous. So this is really great. I really love this flaky shade right here. It is gorgeous. Like, I'm turning it right this way and it looks green, but when I turn it this way to you all, it looks purple, and then I feel like you can see a little bit of blue in it. So it has my favorite colors to use in palettes with blue, greens, and purples, and as I keep turning it this way, the colors keep shifting. This is just a gorgeous palette. I don't know if they're making this one anymore or not. I know they had it up earlier this year, but since they changed their name from Unearthly Cosmetics to Unearthly Cosmetics, I heard certain things they have to sell by a certain time, or else, you know, with the Unearthly Cosmetics name on it, then they have to get rid of it. And since the packaging already says Alien, they might not be able to sell it anymore. So that might be why they don't have it on their site anymore, because I noticed quite a few palettes have disappeared from there. So I don't know. Anyway, next I have the El Barrio palette. I really like this palette. I had never tried Terra Moon's mattes. I had tried their shimmers though. I want them to make more palettes, because this palette is exceptionally wonderful. I absolutely love it. It is gorgeous. I'm pretty sure I did a look with this palette, and they liked my picture on Instagram, and they would follow me on Instagram. I don't know if they still follow me or not, because this palette came out like over a year ago, but I still like it, and I still have used it a few times this year, even though it came out last year. This was their holiday palette for last year. They didn't come out with a holiday palette this year, unfortunately. I was secretly hoping they would, but you know, it's okay. My favorite Menage palette, again, I feel like you shouldn't be surprised. It is Flight Club. I have a thing about purple palettes, if y'all haven't noticed. I love blues, I love greens, and I love purples. And lately I feel like I've been loving purples more than I've been loving blues and greens, which is a shock, but you know. Again, this is a unique purple palette to me. Like, I like the fact that they have this shifting shade in here, because when you turn it this way, it has more of like a fuchsia pink shade. But when I turn it this way to you all, it just looks like, you know, a regular purple shade. And then they have like this magenta-ish purplish pink shade to go with it. So it's like, it has a lot of nice complementary shades, and then you have like your mauvey lighter tones that you can use if you just want to make a softer look. So this palette overall is just really nice. It has like some mauves and pinks and purples, and it was beautifully done. So I was concerned when they said they were getting rid of Violet ink, but they replaced it with this, and I am just elated and so happy I have it in my collection. I was thirsty to buy that palette, and I'm so glad I did. So the second last palette I have is the Norns palette from Olden's Eye. Y'all know this is my favorite Olden's Eye palette besides Tina and Annette's, which you will see later in this video, because I've used theirs quite a lot as well. But this palette I love. I use this one with Angelica's Club Nebula palette. I use it on its own. I just think this was a beautifully done palette. And Olden's Eye is one of my favorite indie brands. And some of y'all told me like I was the first black person you saw to do videos on Olden's Eye, so I was excited about that. I really love the brand, and you know, I'm excited to see what they come out with next year. So that's my favorite palette other than Tina and Annette's. And you can't buy Annette's anymore, but you can still get Tina's. And my thirsty self bought 3. But in all fairness, I gave y'all 1, so you can't say anything to me. But it was a momentous moment, and I had to make sure I held on to one of Tina's. As you can see, she's still here in the background. I don't plan on taking that down till we like sell this house. So Tina is gonna be back there chilling. Get used to it. Next I have the Nomad Fire, the Iceland Fire and Ice palette. This is my favorite Nomad palette. The second one is the Haunted Europe one they came out with this year. But this is my color story, and I mean, I feel like we all know why. I have my little smoky roll for when I need to rush out the house and I need to do a smoky eye look, because to me that's my everyday neutral eye look, a smoky eye. So this roll is perfect for that. Then I have my shimmery blue, green, and purple that I can put with the blues in here. or just use as a simple lid. And on the off chance I do want to make a fiery look, I can use this little roll right here to get my warm look done. So this is literally like the perfect palette for somebody like me, because I got blue, green, and purple shimmers, which is my favorite. I got a majority of blue right here because this is a blue and green palette, and then I got my neutral tones, or since I like cool tones. So this palette just embodies me and is perfect, and I absolutely love it. Like I said, my second one is the Haunted Europe one, but I've only used that one I think twice. I used it once in a video with my girl Dionluvsmakeup here on YouTube, and then I used it another time, and Nomad actually featured me on their Instagram stories wearing the palette, so that was pretty cool. Now let's get into my YouTuber owned brands. So one of these palettes I feel like you shouldn't be, a couple of these palettes I feel like you shouldn't be shocked by, because every time I talk about this brand I say these are the palettes I love from the brand. So you shouldn't be surprised that Celestial Storm is in this video. I love Kirsten's brand, and this is like one of my favorite ones. I like this one, and I like Berries and Cream. Those are my two favorite palettes from this brand. Unfortunately, she says she's discontinuing this one, so it's not coming back. She said that in her declutter video that she did a couple of weeks ago, which just made me so sad. But I made sure I gave 2 of these away to you all, if I remember correctly. In the last 2 giveaways I did, I gave away this palette, because this is literally my favorite Kirsten Dominique Cosmetics brand palette. I love it. As usual, I got my blues, I got my purples, and then I got this nice little kind of warm section over here because it still has some pinks. And I think this palette was just beautifully done. And Kirsten, I absolutely love it. Why are you taking it away and depriving everyone of the awesomeness of it? But I guess you can always go find it on like Poshmark or Mercari or something. Or maybe they'll still have like the smaller version of it, Celestial Thunder, and like the BoxyCharm pop-up or something if you want to try it. Only thing is you don't get these cool like reflective shades here, if I remember correctly. I think you just get like the mattes. Don't quote me, because since I bought the palette I don't honestly know. But that is my favorite Kirsten Dominique palette easily. Next, y'all knew Mandy's Strawberry Dream was gonna be here. I gave y'all a hint earlier with the Barbie palette, because if y'all remember I did a battle of love to show that, you know, if you couldn't necessarily afford to buy his, even though I like his better, that the ColourPop one would set you up straight and be very nice. But yes, this one I have used so many times. Like, it has the blues and the pinks. I'm living and obsessed with the shade Blue Diamond. I'm just sad that mine showed up cracked. That one showed up cracked, and then the shade Nightfall showed up cracked. I wasn't as concerned about this one just because I really do like vampy like eye looks with colors like that. But I was crushed when this one showed up broken, because it was the one I was most excited about. And then I couldn't return it because I had got it on clearance, and I think they had an extra 20% off during the time I bought it. So of course everybody else bought it too, and then it sold out. So I was sad, but I'm still happy to have this palette, my broken shades and all, just because this is my favorite palette from his brand. Now I do like the smoky one too. I think it's Lunar Eclipse, or it's some kind of eclipse. I forgot the exact name of it, but I like that one too. But I have used this one way more than I've used that one, so that's why I had to shout out that one. Next, I only own a couple. I don't own that many palettes from Playing in Makeup with Yolanda. I'm supposed to get one for Christmas from my friend Jackie, the Relentless one. That's the one I was most excited about at the time, but she got some new ones coming out that I'm excited about now. But this is the one I use the most in my collection. This is the Jamrock No Limitation, and I feel like when I open it up you should know why it's the one I use the most. Like, I bought this when she had a 50% off sale on her website, because I had wanted to try the brand for a while, but I was like, I don't know enough about the brand. And then I think this palette was like 60 bucks or something like that, and I was like, I don't want to pay 60 bucks and I'm not sure how the formula is going to be on it. And since none of the people I had watched had bought it and tried it out, the funny thing is Karen and I bought this at the same time, but I've already used mine I think like 2 or 3 times. I used mine in the video, and Karen I don't think still has used hers yet. But Karen has so many palettes, and then she has this gorgeous little baby hairs to deal with. So I mean, like, if she doesn't ever get to this palette, I feel like it should be fine. But I really love the palette. I've used it like 2 or 3 times again and again. I tell y'all, 2 or 3 times is a big deal for me with the collection that I have. So the fact that I've used it 2 or 3 times is exciting. I really love this palette, and I really love this color story. It's just, to me, this like is a perfect color story for a grungy lover like myself. So if you love grungy colors like I do, you should definitely pick up that palette. I caught mine on sale, and she does sales pretty often. Like right now she has a 40% off sale on her pressed glitter palette. So if you like pressed glitter palettes, you might want to look into that. But my eyes are on that Relentless palette, okay? Next, I have a couple of colorful matte palettes. And one of my colorful matte palettes got dethroned by the other colorful matte palettes you're gonna see. But y'all know, now y'all know, I used to live for this Colored Rain Vivid Pigments and Shadows palette. I had a whole series on my channel when I first started my channel. Like the first year of my channel, where I would do like looks with this and just find like singles shimmers to put with it, since this is an all matte palette. This was my jam. Like this is like my girl Dr. Adriangameover says, this was my jam. Like this was my favorite colorful palette. And then they changed the formula. So I don't know if the formula on this has changed, or they just changed their formula going forward for the future. But this one right here, this one has been well loved by yours truly. I mean well loved throughout the years. But then somebody came along and dethroned it. And I feel like you should know who it is. It's the Blend Bunny Cosmetics Blends palette. Like when I first tried this up against my Colored Rain, when I was like, whoa, what? Because I feel like these just blend so much easier than that one. And not that that one blends terribly, but this blends amazingly compared to that one. So I was just like, oh, okay. And again, I found out about this brand through my girl Karen Harris. So Karen just be hooking me up with all the information on all the brands. Her and Dr. Ash on Makeup keep me up to date on what's going on in the makeup world. Because sometimes I don't be on it the way they be on it. But you know, I have almost a teenage son to run around and deal with. So it's like, I can't always be on everything, sis. But with this, I'm so glad that Karen put me onto it. And I can't wait for her nude palette to come out. Because she has a nude palette coming out January the 2nd, I believe. So my Thirsty Behind will most likely be trying to grab that. And another set of her blending brushes. Because they are absolutely wonderful. And I needed a set for here at my grandmother's house. And then I already have a set at home. But this palette I have used like 3 or 4 times. I have another colorful palette that's actually a luxury palette that I use a lot too. Shout out to my girl Alicia for helping me find that one, because I didn't know it existed until she tagged me in it, and I was like, oh yes, we're getting it. But yes, this palette is amazing. If you don't have it, you should. I think it's like $30-something. Don't quote me because I don't exactly remember. But it's beautiful. And I think Karen said she has a code for Blend Bunny now, so you can use Cage Makeup and get you a Blend Bunny palette. Next, I just have Made by Mitchell. So I used these palettes a few times this year. Now, obviously, this one I just got, so I'm not talking about this one. I think I just ended up grabbing the whole stack of Made by Mitchell, and that's how I was in it. I've only done 2 looks with this palette. I haven't touched it since. But these, I have touched a few times this year. I bought them at the beginning of this year during his Box Day sale. Or last year during his Box Day sale. And then they showed up they showed up in 2021 at the beginning. But this is my favorite one right here, Feet on the Ground. I love this color sword because it has that grungy effect to it. And it's really, really lovely. The only thing is when I first look at his palettes, because the background is so busy and then like the colors are all over the place scattered, it's hard for me to come up with an eye look sometimes. But looking at it now, it's like you just go down the row and you can make a cool eye look. Go down each row and you make a cool eye look. At least with this palette, that's how it's looking to me now, looking at it on camera with you all. But when I first did it in the videos, I told y'all, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but just come back and you know my eye gonna be done, and I don't know. Same thing with this Head in the Cloud. Now this one I ended up getting just because it was 50% off. Like I wasn't gonna get this at all. I was not a fan of this color sword. I didn't really like it. I was confused on what to do with it. Sometimes I'm still confused on what to do with this one, and I usually just reach for the Feet on the Ground, because I'm like, I don't know what to do with all of this. Again, because his background is always so busy, to me it's kind of hard to formulate an eye look. At the same time, I bought it because I was like, it's 50% off and I wanted to challenge myself and I wanted to try the formula. And if it was good, plus I think I was on a Karen thing that day where you have to like have the free shipping. So I was like, I think I got free shipping because I bought this one and the other one. So that's another reason I went ahead and got it. I don't regret getting it though, because I have used this about 2 or 3 times in addition to the other one. Sometimes I just combine both the palettes and take colors out of each of them to make it work for me. So those are a couple of palettes I have been using a lot this year as well. Now let's get into my luxury stuff, because believe it or not, the luxury palette is actually only 5 palettes. I know, right? It's a shock. And one of the palettes I use in conjunction with another palette. A couple of them actually. So I have my Viseart Dark Mattes palette. I love this palette. Like, to me, these blend beautifully, and this is my favorite Viseart palette, besides another one I'm gonna talk to you about in a second. But yeah, cool, dark, grungy tones. Now I'm trying to figure out what's going on with Viseart at Sephora, because it's like a lot of their palettes haven't been showing up there. Like their newest ones haven't showed up there from what I remember, and then like all of these are disappearing off there. Like they just got rid of the cool mattes too, because I tried to buy it but somebody had bought it before I could check out. So I don't know what's going on, but my dark mattes left a long time ago. As you can see, mine is so old. I have the original packaging. I think I got this for like 40 or 50% off. And I was happy to have it, but now that I know they're worth the quality, I don't mind paying full price for them. It's a gorgeous palette. I was using it a lot alongside of some of my shimmer palettes. When I did use it, I just don't remember which shimmer palettes I was using, which is why I didn't, unfortunately, bring a shimmer palette with me because I couldn't remember which one it was. Anyway, I've got the Grande Pro Volume 3 palette. When you see the inside of it, you'll know why I use this Viseart palette a lot as well. I mean, hello. Look at that. Now, it's not a perfect rainbow because it has like half warm tone side and then like half cool tone side. So I'd have preferred like, you know, more cool tone. But I understand why it has half warm and half cool. Because these are, assuming, the majority of the colors that makeup artists use a lot. Which is why they had these particular shades in here. Because Viseart is a makeup artist based brand. So I get that. Which is why you saw a couple of indie brands that had more color to them. Like my purples and my greens and other things that this doesn't necessarily have. So like my purples and pinks are missing out of here, and y'all know I need a purple to survive. So I use the Blend Bunny for that. But when I want like a simple like blue and green look, or I want to mainly focus on some reds because I don't own that many palettes that are red toned, I would reach for this, and then I would go into like a shimmer palette and use that. But again, I don't remember which shimmer palettes I was using at the time, but I do remember using these for sure. So I was like, let me go ahead and put those in here. Next, we're gonna talk about some Natasha Denona. So y'all know this is my favorite Natasha Denona midi palette. $65 ones. This is it. This is the Love palette. I don't know if this is being discontinued or what exactly is going on with this palette, and I'm concerned. So I actually bought it back up to this one. Now this one is almost at its 2-year mark, I think. So in 2 years it's supposed to expire. So I got a backup for it when they had it at 50% off. I think it's still 50. I haven't seen it on their website anymore, and if it is, it might be regular price. I mean, as far as Sephora goes, I know it's still on Natasha's site, but it's Sephora. It started to leave, and I was like, no, we're not gonna have a situation where it's like the gold palette is gone and I can't get another one. Not that I needed to get another gold palette because I don't reach for it that much. This is the one I reach for, so this is when I made sure I had another one for, especially because these cream to powders, I don't know how, you know, they work after they change, after they've expired for a certain time. So I wanted to make sure I had another one of these. So I loved it enough to buy another one, and I already have this one, so that shows you how much I love this palette right here. This is my favorite midi palette to date, and I used it a lot. Next one I used a lot was the Safari palette from Natasha Denona. Now please be advised, I changed mine around if I remember correctly. I took some of the shades out that were really ashy that didn't work for me. So as you can see, like these tones I can dust over like the to give the airbrush effect, which is why I put some of them in here, because some of them weren't originally in here, they were in other palettes. And then some of these other tones weren't in here too. I forgot exactly which ones I changed in here, but I have a video where I show y'all how I recreated all my palettes, so I'll try to remember to link it up above. But this is another one I used a lot when I first got it. Like, it's just a really nice palette, and I like to use a lot of matte palettes, so that's the one I chose for my luxury when it comes to like my grungy things and whatnot. The last one I have to talk about, of course, is gonna be Pat McGrath, because it wasn't gonna be a luxury section without using a Pat McGrath palette a lot. Okay, so this is the Mothership Mega Celestial Divinity palette. Now I know y'all probably shocked that this is the particular palette I chose to use a lot, but I use it in conjunction with one of my favorite YouTuber collab palettes that you'll see in a second. And I was using it a lot with that. So this is what it looks like on the inside. To me, this palette is gorgeous and stunning. I absolutely love it. I like this one more than the one that came out this year. So this is the one for 2020. I like the one for 2020 more than the one for 2021. But I do like the green new glittery shades that she came out with. It's a green one in that palette and then the black one or something like that. But this palette right here is gorgeous. I think I mainly like this one though because I didn't get a chance to get the Star Wars palettes. Like they had launched it ahead of time, and people went on and bought it, even though, like, you know, Mother launched the stuff at a certain time, and that's how I ended up not being able to get it, because they bought it before we were supposed to buy it. So I think that's why I really like that one the most, because it's like I got a chance to get it, even though, you know, I went on at the right time and people just bought it at the wrong time. Next, I have the Jackie Aina palette. So this is the palette I like to use, that Pat McGrath palette I just showed you. And as you can see, my Jackie Aina palette is filthy because I used it a lot. It is quite filthy. On my brush just fell out, but yeah, this is easily one of my top 10 favorite collabs of all time. I love this palette. I utilize this palette a lot. still to this day, when I need a quick go-to eye look that I know won't take a lot of effort, this is like the best ABH formula ever. The formula in this is just as good as that Norvina Purple Palette 5 I was telling y'all about. That's so great. Simply wonderful. Where's my phone? I need to hurry up and get done, y'all, because at 1:30 we gotta leave, and it's like almost 1 o'clock now, and I still gotta film a declutter video for y'all, so I'm trying to hurry up. The next palette I have is it's freaking Bats palette from Baddie Bean and Shroud. Now it used to be Butte Bean, so that's why mine says Butte Bean, but she changed her name to Baddie Bean, so ignore that part. Matter of fact, I'll just hold my hand where it says the name, so that way you don't see that. But this one I actually have used a lot. It's because it's a unique and fun color story, and these are my types of colors. It has like the grungy purples, and it has like these tealy turquoises looking shades, and it has like these weird greens. So it's basically like a greenish purple tealy blue vibe, and y'all know I just said I like blues, greens, and purples the best, so of course I would be drawn to this palette. Now mind you, it did take forever for me to get this palette, so if you look for a review on my channel, you will not find it. I ordered this in October and I didn't get it to July of 2021, so I was like, who's gonna care anymore? So I just did a few looks on Instagram and let you all see them, so you could see how I do color combinations with that palette, but I didn't make a video just because it took so long to get to me. The next palettes I have to talk about are from Oden's Eye. So I told y'all, these are two of the other Oden's Eye palettes that I use the most, that I absolutely love. So we're going to start off with the gorgeous lady in the background here, Miss Tina Fancy Face. This is her palette. I have used this palette at least 4 or 5 times since I got it. I would like to use it more, but I still have to test out other stuff, and then I have brand new palettes I come in, and I'm a person who I want to use every single palette in my collection. So even if like I just used it one time, I don't want it to be sitting there knowing I haven't used it at all. I try not to do that. I do have like 2 or 3 in the drawer right here now in my grandmother's house, but I haven't used them. But that's because I used to come over here, and then on the weekends I would use those palettes for Instagram. But I haven't been over here on the weekends in a while because I've been trying to take my son to the movies and stuff since I finally had weekends off. But yeah, anyway, about this palette. I love this palette. I want to use it so much more. I usually try to like add one of her shimmers in here, or one of her mattes, or something out of this palette with another palette I'm already using, just so I can have the opportunity to use it because I love it that much. We have Giant Wolves. Like I told y'all, this one is sold out. I hope you got your hands on it, because I think it sold out during the 40% off sale Oden's Eye had for Black Friday. I told y'all to run it by Tina's palette, and I love Annette's palette too though, because Annette's palette, to me, this is just like the lighter version of her, this is the deeper version of her Menagerie palette that you're going to see in a second. It's just the deeper, grungier version of it, and it's simply stunning. Matter of fact, let me show them to you now so that way you can see what I'm talking about. So this is the Serendipity palette from Annette. So she's had 2 collabs this year in 2021. And you see what I'm talking about? Like, she has brighter, funner colors in here, but she has like the deeper tones here. Now there are a couple of similar shades, like the green in the bottom I feel like is similar to this palette, and then I feel like the pink in this palette, like the pink down there, is similar, except it's a shimmer and this is a matte. So a couple of tones there are somewhat similar, but I feel like it's different enough to where you can combine both these palettes and get a nice look. And I actually have done that. I combined both the palettes together on my Instagram. You all can go check out that picture where I made gorgeous looks with both of these. I really love both of these palettes, and I told y'all the collab palette section was going to be the one that was biggest and the one I use the most, and it is for sure. Next I have the Hauntingly Glamorous palette from Unearthly Cosmetics, and I think it's Sydney Nicole Adams. I believe that's how you say her name. This is what it looks like. To me, this is just a unique and grungy toned palette. Now the palette, this I want to put in another palette with Deceiving Color Source, because this red right here looks super dark, but it's not that dark, and I feel like it's closer to the shade of this one when you put it on the eye. So to me, these aren't different enough. Maybe because on my skin tone they don't show up different enough, and if you're lighter they will. But these two in particular like disappointed me, because I'm thinking I'm gonna have this real deep dark grungy outer V, and it's just the same color as this one on my skin tone. So it's like, of course I didn't have any variation, it just looked muddy when I did the look I did. So I was kind of disappointed in that, but I got some really nice looks out of this palette as well. Like I think the look I did on camera with you all with this palette turned out really nice. I think I used this shade, this one. I forgot exactly what I did, but I really liked that look. That's one of my favorite looks of this year. I'm trying to get my Instagram together to show like my top 10 favorite like looks I did with like certain palettes, and I might do like different categories to show more pictures, because there are a lot of looks I actually like that I really did this year. So I was like, I want to showcase them and, you know, make myself proud of the growth I've had as far as like doing makeup this year. But I have, of course, Club Nebula with Angie. This is what the palette looks like. I really like this color story. Anyone who knows me knows the blues, the greens, the purples, and then like you get this warm tone roll off chance I want to do looks like that, because I know she likes to put like, I think it's peaches and like what is it, reds together. So that's what this row is for. I think I've used it a couple of times, like this row, which is a big deal for me because I usually just stick to these two at the top. But you know, it's a really lovely palette. It's one of my most used collab palettes, just because Angie understands that, you know, you need the grungy dark mattes to put in the outer V in order to get a look like I have like dark black on the outer V right now. So we're down to the last two collab palettes and then we'll be done, y'all. I swear, I feel like I've been filming this video for at least 30 minutes. Jesus. I have the Nikki Tutorials and Beauty Bay. Now I know Teresa's dad said this palette was horrible to her. I actually really liked it, and I have actually used it a lot. I like the fact that she made her brother this red shade the heart of the palette, and the only thing that sucks is the shades that I like to use are the ones on the makeup shamer side. So I'm like, wow, that means I'm a makeup shamer to you, just because I like grungy tones. I don't like these bright shades that don't necessarily work for my skin tone. But I like this palette overall. I have used it about 3 or 4 times, which is, like I told y'all, a big deal because I don't get to use palettes that much. Last one I have is the Be Perfect Carnival 3 Tahiti Love Tahiti palette. Oh my god, y'all, like I have used the crap out of this palette. Look how many purples there is alone. Yes. Now the blue green section is definitely lacking. It seems to be more warm tone in the middle, and then like the cool tone she chose for these shades, which I guess is fine. But I've used this palette at least about 6 or 7 times. Like that's how much I truly love this palette. I had to make myself calm down and use other palettes, but this palette is absolutely stunning. So those are my most used palettes of 2021 in my collection. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye. Let me know if you own any of these palettes down below and how you would rank them and how much you've used them too, because I'm just curious now. How much should we actually use in our makeup collection as opposed to just buying a whole bunch of makeup?